Hello, everybody. Eric here with more of F. Paul Wilson's Secret History of the World, and today I am talking about Reprisal, a novel of the Adversary Cycle, obviously by F. Paul Wilson, and this is from Tor. This copy. Um, so, as usual, I'll do a review, and then I will get into how it ties into the Secret History of the World, where it's going to get spoilery. Um, so yeah, you've seen these videos before, maybe. I don't know who you are, but let's get into it. Now, so in Reprisal, our main character, most main character, I'll say, is Will Ryerson, and he is he's a landscaper, a guy at a college. I don't know why all of a sudden, like, words have left my brain. He's on the landscaping crew at a college, but we know that he's got something horrible in his past, and for some reason, whenever he's near a landline phone, it will start ringing. Just one continuous ring. When someone picks it up, there's something horrifying at the other end of the line. But so he tries to avoid landline phones. He's working at this college. He is friends with Liesel, I think is how you would say the name, who is a math professor, and they spend their lunches together talking about math and philosophy and all this different stuff. And then this young hunky psychology graduate student comes along and starts a relationship with Liesel, and things start getting complicated and weird and spooky. While all this is going on, we slowly start to learn about Will Ryerson's past, and mixed in with this is a boy. We get the boy at 6 months, the boy at 2 years, the boy at 10 years. Those chapters kind of mixed in. So, and then this is all going to culminate in a crazy ending. All right, I don't know what kind of nutshell that was, but it's so difficult at this point not to give spoilers. I will say, since this is the review portion, for the too long didn't watch crowd, 5 out of 5 stars, no question. This is possibly my absolute favorite of all of this Secret History of the World stuff. I love the Keep. I love the Tomb. There's some great books throughout all of this, whether they're Adversary Cycle books, Ice, Repairman Jack, some of the standalone. But this one, man, maybe because this is a very, very dark book. There's some dark stuff that goes on. There's some straight up horror. Maybe that's why I just loved this so much. Plus, it's F. Paul Wilson. It's got his usual great writing and great characters. Will Ryerson is a fascinating character as we slowly learn what this dark secret is from his past. Liesel is an interesting character, and I can't. There's so much that I can't say yet because I don't want any spoilers. But it's well written. I like the jumps from what's going on today to the boy at 6 months old or whatever it was, the boy at 2 years old, the boy at 10. And if you're familiar with the series, if you've read, I think just the Adversary Cycle, you don't need to have read all the other stuff, but you're going to know. You're absolutely going to know who the boy is, what we're building to. We do have some characters. Well, I was going to say from the other stuff, but they are from the Adversary Cycle as well. While I was reading this, and once I finished, I was thinking about what it would be like to just have read the books in the Adversary Cycle, as opposed to doing what I'm doing and reading all of this other stuff. I think that would have been interesting. I may have to wait 10 years once I've forgotten everything that I've read and just read these 5 books, 6 books. Let's look at the actual. That just says Secret History. They used to have a list that would have Adversary Cycle, Repairman Jack books, Ice books, but this list just lists everything that's in the Secret History. That does not help me. But anyway, it's definitely it's the Keep, Reborn, the Touch, Reprisal, Signals, and Night World. So however many that is, I wasn't counting while I named them, but I think that's all of them. But I think it would be interesting to just read those as opposed to everything else. So as far as the review goes, I think I covered everything. Because again, as I get into more detail, things are going to get spoilery, so I'm going to save that for the part where we're talking about how it all ties in. 5 out of 5, absolutely. I don't know that you could. I mean, technically, you could read this without having read anything else. I think you could read this without any previous knowledge, and while there will be a few things that make you question and go, obviously, I missed something. I think overall, it's a terrific horror novel that could be read by itself, although it is open ended. So there's that. But 5 out of 5, Reprisal, F. Paul Wilson. Loved it. If not number one, at least in the top 3. All right. So there you go. Now I'm going to get into how this all ties into the secret history of the world, at least to the best of my ability. So spoilers ahead. If you don't want any type of spoilers, then skip to the last 2 minutes of the video where I give you all my information and stuff and say please like, share, and subscribe, all that stuff. But here we go. Spoilers. Let's look at the timeline. So this is my best timeline that I have is in Signals, and Reprisal ends in February of year 0. Night World, the end of the world as we know it, is in May. So we are very, very close. And there is something huge that happens in this book. I don't know if I'm gonna. I doubt that I'm gonna mention what that is. But so let's get into this. How it all ties together. Well, first of all, I think the very first thing we have is Glaken. I don't know how to pronounce that. Glaken, also known as Glenn, also known as Velour or Veyur. Again, don't know how to pronounce that. The hero from The Keep. F. Paul Wilson's first novel. He's at the very beginning. He's in the cold open, as I like to call it. So right off the bat, tying together. And then, how much do I talk about who Will Ryerson is? Will Ryerson is a character we've met before. I didn't realize it at first. I didn't, because the book that he's in before, I read quite some time ago when I was doing this early on in doing this series. And so I didn't put it together, but we do, it very clearly tells us who he is. And then there is a chunk of the book in the middle that's just a big old flashback to this horrible thing that caused, that's in his past, that, again, as we're reading the story, we know that there's something in his past, that he's not actually Will Ryerson, that there's a cause for these weird phone calls, We get a big chunk that's going to explain all that. There is a character. I mean, there's a spoiler warning. So the hunky young psychology graduate student, as soon as I read his name, let's say I'm not straight up trying to spoil things. So the adversary likes to use anagrams when it comes to his name. So when this character appeared, I read his name and immediately said, "Oh, this is going to be the adversary." All those letters are there, just mixed up. But there is another character in the book that I did not make that connection to. And I should have. That should have been even easier to make a connection to. I finally figured it out very shortly before it was actually revealed in the story. But at least I did before they told me. I was like, wait a minute, of course. So the adversary, I mean, it's part of the adversary cycle, but very, very active in this. And there's talk of the lady. And there are characters from other books. I know I've said spoilers, but I don't want to just be blatant about things. But it absolutely very, very hard ties to the Keep and Reborn, light ties to the Touch. And then something, and it is dark. Oh, there's a author's note. Is that what he calls it at the beginning of the book? Yes, author's note. Where F. Paul Wilson says, "I was struck by how dark it is. I found it difficult to compose those scenes." I skipped that part where he says which scenes. "I had to get up and walk away from the keyboard numerous times, but nothing here is gratuitous." So yes, it is a very, very dark book. Holy moly, which again, probably why I like it so much. There's something that happens at the end that is huge. Absolutely huge. And if it weren't for the fact that I just picked up Holly by Stephen King and am going to be reading that, I would be jumping into the next book, which, let's see. The next book is Fatal Error. Take place in February. So, yeah, I'm so close to the end. I'm going to grab my phone where I have my list. Let's see. Let's find my list. Where is it? So 4 books left. And I can't wait to dig in. I'm not going to burn myself out. I'm still going to at least read at least one thing in between each one. But man, things are coming to a head. Craziness. And yes, the end, what happens at the end of this book is huge. And I think is going to have a huge impact on these last 4 books. So I'm very excited. All right. Someday I may start to take notes so I can remember to cover everything that I think is important. I think I have. I've tried to, I know some things are spoilery, but I've still tried to avoid major spoilers. So this, again, takes place very close to the end. It ends in February of year 0. The end is May, so only a few months. We've brought together a number of different characters. There's the huge thing that happens at the end that is going to impact everything. So, I think that's it. One more time. Reprisal, F. Paul Wilson, a novel of the Adversary Cycle, 5 out of 5 stars. Highly, highly, highly recommended. Even if you're not reading the entire series the way I am, even if you don't read just the 6, I'm just going with 6 books in the Adversary Cycle. I mean, I don't know why you'd want to read this as just a standalone book, but I think you can and get the impact of most of it. 95% of it. and it's going to be horrifying. But there you go. That's it. No questions for these videos. So if you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. We can get as spoilery as we want. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here on my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe, all the usual YouTube stuff. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is @Ronin5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, fuzzy animals, is Eric Smith 5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH 5757. And on Blue Sky, I am @EL Smith. That's all I have for you this time. So until next time, read more books.